that doesn't touch any of that thing. We're going back to the world of Marvel. We're going back to the MCU. And this is, Sean, you were talking about all the Marvel different TV shows and stuff that you have to catch up with. This is one that I don't think you have to watch much else to catch up with, and I think is wholly, totally 100% worth your time. And this is Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel, which finished yesterday as we record this. They released the final episode yesterday. And the whole idea behind this is Miss Marvel in the comics is the first Pakistani American superhero that Marvel ever had. So obviously you have this whole thing about representation. You have the fact that a lot of the superheroes for ages were white men, and they started bringing in white women, and they were like, hey, how about then there were black people and all. But there's still areas that were not quite represented. Even when they were represented, they were a bit ham-fisted, a bit like when you had Shang-Chi. When he came in there, you had the whole Fu Manchu thing, and but this was created by a Pakistani American woman, and it's about a girl called Kamala Khan who lives in Jersey City. She's a teenager, and she is a massive, massive Avengers fan. So in her world, she loves the Avengers the way some people love Justin Bieber, and she's particularly a fan of Carol Danvers, as in Captain Marvel, the played by Brie Larson. She's particularly a fan of, and she's like, oh my god, and she knows all this stuff, and she wants to go to Avenger Con, which is essentially like Comic Con but for Avengers and people who are fan of the Avengers. And you go there, and at Comic Con they have people dressed up in cosplay as the Hulk and Ant-Man, and there's a big massive thing with they're an Infinity Gauntlet, and so essentially it's kind of like going to a real life Comic Con, but only in this world the Avengers exist. And she shortly before she goes along to this thing, she receives a box of family heirlooms from Pakistan, from her grandmother in Pakistan. And she has this bangle that she puts on her wrist, and she's like, oh, what is this? And it's like something in your family. And it turns out that bangle does something and unlocks something in her, and she has powers. So she has powers, and you go into this whole thing, and then Marvel origin story and all that. However, this is not just your average Marvel origin story, because this is one. My headline is, this is the best thing Marvel have done in ages. This TV show is the best thing Marvel have done in ages. I mean, the fact that before the show was released, there was a whole bunch of talk about the makers talking about how it looked like they were going to change her powers, because in the comic her powers are kind of like Mr. Fantastic. Look, my hand is now this size. Now my hand is massive, and I'm stretchy, and I'm bendy. And they looked like they were changing the origin of her powers in the TV show. And there was a big uproar, people going, how dare you change it? We love Kamala Khan the way she is. And there was all this talk about how they were going to make sure that the powers were linked with her heritage and where she came from. And it sounded like, before a Bond film, when the people who were making the Bond film convince you and tell you that, oh yeah, no, don't worry, this time the Bond girls actually have agency, and the Bond girls are really blah blah blah, and the Bond girls, and you watch the film, and the Bond girl arc is meet James Bond, sleep with James Bond, get killed. And you're like, what are we talking about? But this time, all the stuff that they were saying beforehand, it totally goes in. I mean, the family unit, the way everything links with the family, the way she gets her costume, dang near made me cry. The way she gets her name makes me cry. And this is a Marvel show that is not that bothered about the bad guy. It is not that bothered about, oh, we've got to get a bad guy and I've got to go on an adventure. It's bothered about this young Pakistani American girl figuring out who she is from her heritage and this is one of the first times when you actually have the superhero heritage not coming from the United States, but coming from, there's a whole scene where they go to Pakistan. There's a whole bit where Marvel go into the fact that Pakistan and India used to be one country, but were partitioned by the British, and the pain and the hurt that caused. And I was just kind of watching this going, I cannot believe Marvel are doing this. I can't believe that they're going there, that they're going into history. There is one particular scene, one of the episodes ends with this massive scene at a train station that you just kind of like, whoa. And I loved this show, if you cannot already tell. I love this.
Is it a series? Is it a series, Tosin?
It's a series, 6 episodes. It's a series. 6 episodes on Disney Plus. Right. So, and I thought it was. I think it's the best thing Marvel have done in ages. I think everything. So yeah, I know Sean, for instance, you always complain about how people get their outfits, and it's kind of like, wait, how did they get the outfit? How did they figure out to make something like high tech? And in this, the way they get the outfit, the way it links to who she is, and the way it links to the culture, and the fact that it's this thing about representation, and the scenes of people outside a mosque, because not only is she a brown Pakistani girl in Jersey City, she's also a Muslim, so it's the first Muslim superhero as well. And the scenes of people outside a work or mosque shouting and going, yeah, we got our own superhero, and what it means for these people to actually have a brown superhero. I just thought this show was so light-hearted, kind-hearted, brilliant. There's some shonky CGI, but I will allow it. I'll just look over the shonky CGI. I just sort of say that the cast brilliant, the family brilliant, the lead actress Iman Vellani brilliant, and I just thought I thought that Marvel did brilliantly with this show. So I would give this. I'll give it a 4 out of 5. I'm not gonna give it a 5. I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.